I have a sneaking suspicion that the weather app is just gaslighting me at every turn. It's not that cold out right now. Look at me. I'm bundled. I'm ready for the freezing rain, which it was doing mere moments ago. Not any greater time than a half hour ago did I look outside and see freezing rain. So today I am in the Dynafish Danian 1. Boom, surprise. And this is going to be the 100-mile review. I haven't been running in this because I've been cracked out on the Dynafish Danian, but this was one of my favorite racing shoes from earlier this year. And it's not the traditional racing shoe setup. It has a carbon shank that runs down the center of the midfoot for about 3/4, maybe even just about a half of the shoe. And I really like these not full-length plates. They allow for some cool like heel lock preference versus full stiffness preference. So I'm gonna get going. I do not have a ton of time today. That's part of the reason I wore these, is because they're quick. So let's go. Main complaints that people have cited about the Danian 1 is plate feel, and I've for sure had that occasionally in this, and I'm hoping that if you out there have experienced this and end up watching this video, if you own this shoe, you've had plate feel in it, you watch this video, I could maybe shed some light on a solution. For me, the cause of it was having the laces cinched too tight, which pushed the ball of my foot more center to the platform, and then running quickly, really quickly, I could feel the plate under my foot. But tying the laces loosely in the forefoot, which should be an eminently achievable goal because they are serrated laces, so each eyelet chain or each eyelet parallel should be relatively adjustable for you. Just loosen it in the forefoot, and perhaps that will be the solution for you. Can't guarantee it, of course. Can't remember the numbers offhand, but this is closer to the mid-30s in the heel with a 4mm drop. And even today, I'm feeling that it's a bit lower to the ground than other shoes that I've been running in lately. I think that this could be a credit to the shoe. It kind of places it somewhere between the functionality of a Takumi Sen and Streakfly 2 for me. I think it's like up there with the fastest shoes that exist, but you have to actually like put that power down and make it be the fastest shoe. It's not going to do the work for you, but once you get really up on the forefoot and are just ripping, I think it's one of the fastest shoes on the market. And this is the first drawback that I will come to that I've found. I think the lifespan of the foam in this shoe is pretty bad. It feels compressed today. I'm not flying, but I'm not going slow. And yeah, it's definitely not perfect today. It was never the bounciest though when I first got it, so that could be a part of it. It has a very flat geometry, which for me rewards really speedy work because it's not unstable and it allows you to run very naturally. But it's not like a full bodied strongest of a marathon shoe. It's more of a knife or a katana or some sort of sharp object. But right now, for example, I'm going relatively quick, and I don't feel the plate right now. And I doubt I will this entire run, because I think it is a factor of how your shoes are tied. That's what I found with this. This is for sure a much more polarizing shoe than I think the Danian is. I think that anybody, even potentially brand new runners, can run in the Danian. Not that they would pick it up, obviously, because it's like really obscure, but it's really, I think it'll work well for pretty much everybody. The Danian 1, I think, really rewards forefoot striking and fast, aggressive pacing. And it doesn't give you as much as other carbon-plated racing shoes in terms of like speed assist, but the geometry for those who like flat shoes, so if you like the Takumi Sen, if you like the Adios 9, if you like flatter shoes, it's gonna work really well for you. Just make sure to get the lacing right. It stays locked down without having to be too tight, and it's because of the 3/4 length plate. It doesn't overly stiffen the part of your foot where the heel lift would create like slippage in other shoes. I'm doing a bad job describing this because I'm pretty tired right now. Yeah, I really like the shoe. The foam is feeling pretty dead though. Even with dead foam, I still like it. But this is, unfortunately, I think already nearing the end of its life at 100 miles, which is a big negative for sure. As the sun came out, I'm exhausted right now. I can barely talk. I've been flying, but the freaking sun has made an appearance. It's the actual sunshine in the sky. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. We have the sun. Oh my God, it's the sun. This thing would be an absolute weapon for the half marathon. So it's 9 miles. The sun is back! Ah. There it goes. Goodbye, sun. 9 miles, 7 minute 15 pace. I just didn't have time today to do much more than that, and I really still don't. But yeah, it's some quick thoughts. The fact that it's able to go that quick despite the foam feeling pretty well and truly flattened is a testament to how well it works with my, I guess, just physical form of running, my biomechanics. And I really like the way this shoe is shaped. I like the way it strikes the ground. I like the way it fits on my foot. I like the sharpness, the directness on the ground, the flatness. I've said that a lot. It feels very, very, very fast. It's a fast shoe. It's a fast shoe. I think that, if I were to, my ideal pair of half marathon shoes, if I were to run one at full tilt, would be these, brand new. That would be my ideal half marathon shoe right now. Otherwise, I would probably take the Streak Fly. Like, if I had a half marathon tomorrow I needed a PR in, I would take the Streak Fly, just because I feel ready for it. My legs are strong. My calves are strong, at least. The rest of my legs, meh. But, between those two for the half, 100%. So, I need to go back and do a bunch of stuff, and we're going to do a review back in the studio. So with that, back to the studio. I don't always eat steak, but this week I've had 3 New York strips, and I'm very proud of myself that I've nailed the cook on them each time with very minimal effort, and it feels good. I don't often cook for myself anymore, and it's really enjoyable when I do. And I think that you would find that if you all cooked for yourselves a little bit more, take care of yourselves, show yourselves some love, you would feel really good about it too, with whatever food that might be. or maybe it's just a nice bath. So I'm back in the studio with the Dynafish Danian 1. Who would have thought? What a shoe. What is this shoe, first of all? Because I think that my conception of it initially, and what a lot of people have heard about it on the internet, is perhaps slightly misleading. And I could even consider it a fact that I might be contributing to some of this confusion for what this shoe is and what it is capable of. So I want to clear some of that up right now, and then we'll talk about my experience over 100 miles with it. I've gotten pretty familiar with this. This run was like a lot of, if not all of the other runs that I've had in this. I just want to bring some clarity to what this shoe is. I don't think in the end that this is a marathon shoe. I think it's a half marathon shoe and one of the best half marathon shoes on the market, period, hands down. The reason that I don't quite think that it's a marathon shoe is it does not feel full stack. I can't remember the statistics offhand, and it isn't full stack. It's not a full 40 in the heel, somewhere like 35. Feels even lower, frankly. It feels about the same stack as the Takumi Sen, and that could be the peba compressing over these 100 miles, which I'll come to. It's part of the discussion that we have to have about this shoe. But as a half marathon, maybe 10K racing shoe, I think it's incredible, and it slots into that distance perfectly, in part because of the geometry, which again, we're going to come to that. But that's what I want to say up front, is I don't really think that most people are going to find this the most protective and comfortable for the full 26.2. So with that out of the way, top to bottom, what do we have? Breathable mesh upper, serrated laces, one of these felt-like or moleskin-like tongues. The heel collar is really padded, and it doesn't like necessarily look really padded, but it feels that way. And yeah, it's almost like a memory foam material. It feels really nice. The midsole is peba. The plate in this shoe is about yay long, and it's only about this wide as well. So it's sort of like it's like a shank, but like an elongated shank. So like a knife almost. And I think it works really well. And this is the first shoe that, I believe that this is the first shoe that I'd heard of such a technology being implemented in racing products specifically. And what it does, and what I like about it, is that since it stops right about here, when you go to think of your stride, when you go to toe off, your foot is still slightly bended onto the ground, right? So as you're springing off from the ground, your foot is still on the ground. Your heel, by now, whether you're a heel striker and you rolled through your stride, or if you were a forefoot striker and you did the little heel tap and now you're coming back out of the stride, whatever's happening, your foot, if it were on flat ground, would be bending sort of like this. And so the shoe, when you have a full stability element that goes across the entire, throughout the entirety of the midsole, you can't really bend because the shoe does not bend. But with this shoe, it bends and allows your heel to grab the heel collar here and the heel cup in general, and prevents heel slip even when it's very loose. And so one thing that I've seen from reviews online is that people have a hard time with the shank in this shoe and getting shank feel, knife feel, plate feel from it. And that's a fair criticism. I had that at first as well. What I found is loosening the laces resolved that for me. And I think that if you tried that on this shoe, you would probably not experience plate feel. I didn't today. I do think that at the very top end, like really fast paces, like mile to maybe 5K paces, I might still get that plate feel in this. It's been a while since I've had that occur, so I can't say. It didn't happen today, and I was getting down to 650s at one point for like an extended period, and there's no plate feel today. But I have had it in the past. It's a risk that you run with this. So today I do think also that the foam was showing some signs of compression set, not resistance, compression, like fatigue. It's on its last, it's been compressed. I don't know if it's on its last legs yet. I'll probably run another 50, 60. I'll run in this until I don't want to anymore because it's not a good experience anymore. You know what I mean? That's sort of how I'm approaching this channel and shoes in general, even before this channel, is I'm going to run in a shoe until I don't like running in it anymore. And for me, like, yeah, that could be, so for example, the Salomon Aeroblaze, maybe I'll get one more run in it, maybe to retire it. But the last run I had in it was so much like all of the other ones that I really just have concluded that it doesn't work for me overall. It's not that it's a bad shoe, because I do think it's constructed well, and right, this is not about that shoe, but it's, I will run in a shoe until I don't want to run in it anymore, and that's when I'll stop. So I do want to still run in this. I think that the foam is compressed, but I don't think that's the whole story here. I think the whole story here for me is less about the material they used in the foam. If they actually put like an ATPU or maybe even the TPE that's in the Danian into this, then that would be even better. I think that would be an improvement over the peba that's in here, especially since like the peba in here at first was really great. And then it's peba, it just dies over time, right? But the story of this shoe for me is, it comes down to a word, which is geometry. But there's multiple components of the geometry to the shoe. So the first one, the most obvious one, if we look at the shape of the shoe, it comes to a pretty pronounced point up here. And that leads to sort of the Fast R3 thing, where you have an extended platform past your toes, which makes the toe off in this, especially when you're getting into a really aggressive stance, a really aggressive forefoot running style, it feels fantastic. It feels flingage, like you get some flingage going forward. You have a lot to toe off from in this, and I think that's great. That's super awesome. The narrowness didn't bother me because I got this, what is for me, my foot size at the largest is a 9.1. I typically wear 9.5 US. But they only sell this in size 43, which normally in EU sizing is actually a 9.5, but the 43 that they're selling is a size 10. I know it's confusing. That's what they say it equates to in the US sizing. And so maybe what's going on is people aren't looking at the size conversion chart and getting a size that normally would fit their like typical size, and it's actually a half size down. I'm not really sure, but I didn't want to take a risk of this being too small on me because I had heard the comments that this runs narrow when I was first researching the shoe, and so I went with the size 10 or the size 43, and that works extremely well. Yes, it makes this even longer, and so maybe that's a contributing factor. It is long on me. I think my toes come to maybe like there, which is very, very long. But I'm finding the more deeply I get into running, I would prefer a shoe to be too long than too short, because I've blackened my toenails oh so many times. I think maybe every toenail has been some degree of bruised at some point throughout my running career in 2 and change years. So it doesn't take much to destroy your toes, and it doesn't take much to protect them either. Just wear bigger shoes. Apparently, that's what you got to do. So I'm learning here what works for me, but that's another thing that works for me. I mean, it's sort of bundled into the same one, but the sizing and the length particularly, especially with the design of the very tip of the shoe here, there's a lot of foam that extends past the upper, and so that works really well. Another thing that works really well, actually there's 2 more, that's pretty crazy. Another thing that works really well, I'll go with this one first because it's less interesting, is the drop. I like a 4 mil drop. I think a lot of shoes would benefit from being a 4 mil drop. I know it doesn't matter as much anymore as it used to because there are all these dynamic foams that engage with the ground and your footfall and your stride in different ways. Like the way that you're landing on the platform will influence the way that you're pushing off from the platform. So the drop can change like dynamically the way that it feels when you're standing still. Like some shoes feel like your heel's falling further to the ground because when you stand, your heel is taking more of your standing force than when you're running. So it's a whole, like, I mean, standing force than when you're running, not like total force, because when you're running, if your heel's striking, obviously you're generating a lot more force. But it's all complex biomechanics, material science stuff that I don't know anything about. But what I do know is historically, I've done really well with drops in the 4 to 5 mil range. I like a 6. That's very common over here. I like a 7. I like an 8. It's fine. Anything above that, it's just, it feels tall. And to be completely fair to the Western brands, I haven't run in a ton of Nikes and I haven't run in a ton of Brooks, or any Brooks for that matter, because I'm scared off by the drop. And similar with Puma, although I know that they're changing that going forward. So that's just something for me as a runner. I'm historically lower leg dominant. I use my calves for power more than I use my glutes and hips. So when I wear higher drop shoes, it shifts the load higher up, and I don't really get injured from it, but I could feel it working those areas in my body more than I could feel a lower drop shoe. So that's another thing that I like about the geometry of this shoe. The final one, and probably the most noticeable for me, so I saved it for last. I forgot about drop altogether at first. But the final one is just how flat it is. I don't have a lot of shoes that are this flat. I don't think many people have a lot of shoes that are this flat. It's not perfectly flat, of course. There's a bit of a rocker towards the end of the shoe, but it's not even necessarily what the shoe is shaped like visually. It feels flat, and not like that could sound like a bad thing, like the foam has gone flat, like how a beer or a soda might go flat, but no, it feels like the Takumi Sen 11 to me. It feels like it is very reliable to land on, and the platform's always in the place that you left it, and you're not like being rockered forward, right? I love a rocker, and I think it serves different purposes, but if I were trying to attack a session, like truly attack a session, I want a flat shoe. I want something that's a lot flatter. And even on the very other end of this, not where this shoe would specialize, 100% not where this shoe would specialize, but I like a flatter shoe for very slow efforts as well, because it forces you to take more mindful steps, and it can naturally slow your speed down, slow you down a little bit. Not saying it always does, but it can. So those are a lot of the things I like about the geometry. That's the main thing that I like about this shoe. I think the foam could be improved. I think that if there was a bit more stack, it would be a bit more like a carbon fiber racing shoe, like a full stacked carbon fiber racing shoe. You know what I mean? This is a half marathon shoe for most people, and a lot of people might even want to run shorter distance than this because it is pretty calf dominant, and it doesn't do the work for you. It requires you to put in the effort. But sometimes when you're in a really speedy session, you want to be doing the work, not the shoe, right? If you have a shoe doing the work for you, it could sometimes for me, feel a little unstable. And I think of the shoes that I've done fast sessions and like proper fast sessions, lately it's primarily been the Takumi Sen 11 and the Streak Fly 2. Right, those are the two shoes those are my session shoes. I don't really actually do sessions in anything else. I've done some really fast pace in this, so I think this could make a really good session shoe, similar to the Streak Fly, similar to the Takumi Sen. I think it, for a lot of people, could be a half marathon shoe. For some people, maybe not so much. But I've thoroughly enjoyed it so far. It's a really great shoe. I think the next version of it is going to be even better. You got to remember, this company has only made 2 shoes so far. And this one, this one is not perfect by any means, but I really, really enjoy it. And it's a special one for sure. So with that, I thank you all very much for watching. I appreciate your attention as always. And stay in motion.